Alright, so first off I want to say thank you guys for the support the love and support to Max Gentleman 1, and yeah, I'm gonna keep trucking through, so yeah. Alright, so let's get on with the Powerpuff Girls Q&A. And yeah, let's get on with this. So first set of questions. I want to thank everyone as always for sending in questions. If I did not answer someone's question, that usually means that the question was either marked as spam or something else happened to it, so I do apologize for that. But anyway, let's go into the Q&A starting off with Nicholas Harley, who asks, Steven Universe and Powerpuff Girls crossover. How would I do it? I think maybe the idea I would have is that a gem ship has crash landed in the middle of Townsville, and these group of gems we're looking for Peridot because now she's now the most wanted. It's probably to stand the reason you don't get to mouth off at Yellow Diamond and get away with it. So these gems were ordered to bring her in and take down any enemy gems. No, because here's the thing: apparently the diamonds don't know about Garnet and Garnet, Steven, and the others. It's kind of weird because she said, what caused this, and she said, oh, there was no one. It was just an accident. So I guess the diamonds are unaware of them, but now they are aware that Peridot's there. So they are there to hunt down Peridot. They've crash landed in the middle of Townsville, and now a group of angry gems are tearing through Townsville. Meanwhile, Steven and the rest of the group discover that there's a group of gems attacking Townsville, so they go in there and team up ensues. That's all I got. Second question: Rick and Morty meet the Powerpuff Girls. What would happen, and what would Rick think of them? I think he would think that Professor Utonium's way too lonely for his own good, and Morty would be just amazed by their powers. So yeah. Third question: Lord Beerus comes to Earth. Which girl do you think would make him mad first? More than likely Buttercup. She would be the one who would throw a punch at his face, and that would probably be it. So then with those questions, moving on now to Galvatrix. Galvatrix asks, what is your opinion on Powerpuff Girls Z? I like it. It's interesting. It's interesting because it's like I know it's an anime adaptation of Powerpuff Girls, and it does vary away from the original animated show. But having said that, though, I think it's hilarious because it's a mixture of like a magical girl TV show, and it feels so much like a classic anime like Astro Boy at the same time. So I think it's a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this later on down the road, so I'll save a question for that moment of relating to Powerpuff Girls Z later on down the road. But I like it. I think it's nice enough. CH Crusher, who asks, what? CH Usher. All right. What would the girls' jobs be when they grow up? Yeah. I would imagine Blossom, scientist, Bubbles, in charge of a squirrel farm or a squirrel sanctuary, and for Buttercup, law enforcement. Second question: what would the girls think of Wander? Oh, Bubbles would think he's adorable, and Buttercup annoying, and but still, her and Sylvia would get along. Buttercup and Sylvia would get along great, and Blossom would just think, "Aww." All right. What is the relation between him and the big red guy from Cow and Chicken? I wasn't even aware there was one, other than they're kind of assholes. That's kind of it. All right. Thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Ridley Carade 187. I hope I'm saying that name right. First question: Powerpuff Girls villains paired up with the following villains, and the villains being Vlad Masters, Vexus, Tack, Jasper, Lord Hater, Yellow Diamond, Ludo, Toffee, the Tallest, and Palpatine. Work best with them. Repeat villains are allowed. Just don't use. So for, I guess, villains to team up with is what you're saying. For Vlad, it would probably be Princess Morbucks. Yeah, Vlad and Morbucks would team up because rich people stick together. Vexus, it would be... I don't know who would Vexus be. Maybe the Amoeba Boys, just so she could manipulate them. Tak would be... Tak would be teaming up with maybe the Brocculoids or something. Jasper, the Gangrene Gang. Lord Hater, Mojo Jojo, just to hear them argue. Yellow Diamond, probably no one. She doesn't seem like the team-up type. Ludo, Ludo would be also teaming up with Mojo. Toffee and him. The Tallest would also be teaming up with... Actually, going back to Jasper. Jasper and Fuzzy Lumpkins teaming up. Oh, boy. Anyway, so the Tallest, I don't know for them, and Palpatine, also him. Second question, what episode would you recommend to a newcomer who doesn't really understand why people love the show? That's a good question. There are so many really good episodes. For me, I would suggest the episode Speed Demon. It's a really dark episode. It's probably one of the darkest episodes of the show, and it's a very interesting lesson around it, and it's a great episode to show why him is probably my favorite animated villain. Not just in Powerpuff Girls, but in, ever. So yeah, I would suggest Speed Demon, and for other episodes, I don't know, that might start from there and then work your way through the others. That's all I can say. Third question, why do people ship Blossom with Aku? I don't know either. I really don't. It's weird too, because I saw a fan comic once that was a parody of Labyrinth, of the movie Labyrinth, and it had Aku as David Bowie's Prince Jareth. Jareth, and Blossom as Jennifer Connelly's character. It was weird. It was just as weird as you thought it'd be. Anyway. Thank you for those questions, Ridley. Moving on now to Christian Sager, who asks, Lex Luthor meets the Powerpuff Girls. What happens? Interesting question. I would say that the Powerpuff, he would be like, oh, God, there's more of them, and they're kids. This is awful. Alright, him versus Aku. That is a good question. Him versus Aku. You see, Aku is a very powerful shape-shifting sorcerer, whereas him is quintessentially the devil, so... I don't know. But him can be beaten up by, super strong girls, but so... I would have to say, I'm going to give it to him slightly, because his powers seem a lot more on a higher level, And I already gave my thoughts on Powerpuff Z, so... Anyway, thank you for those questions, Christian. Moving on now to Andrew Varney, who asks, how might the girls react to Discord from MLP? I would have to say that Discord would be like a more gentler him. He would be a more... more held back him, because this was obviously reformed Discord, so I think Discord would just love to pick on them, though. Just because he's reformed doesn't mean he doesn't want to have fun. Anyway, second question. Powerpuff Girls Doctor Who crossover with the 10th Doctor. Any ideas? Maybe have it that the Daleks have come to Townsville to stage a base there or something, and the Doctor and the Powerpuff Girls try to stop them. That's all I can think of. Alright, and your third question is, how would you handle a Powerpuff Girls Phineas and Ferb crossover? And you said you would have a team-up between Mojo and Doofenshmirtz. Yeah, that would probably be how it goes, that Mojo and Doofenshmirtz have teamed up, and the girls team up with Perry, while at the same time, you've pretty much written out the same idea I would have, is that Bubbles and Isabella would be friends. Buford would also get his... He would brag as a bunch of mamby-pamby girls, this is a man's job. And then Buttercup would proceed to, beat him in an arm wrestling contest with nothing. And also, to add to that, Blossom would definitely be friends with Phineas and Ferb, and at the same time, like, I could see Blossom and Phineas talking about science stuff, and Isabella's just sitting there in the corner going, "Oh, you skank. Oh, you man-stealing home wrecker. I'm gonna get you. Bubbles, hold my bow. Hold my bow. I'm going over there. Hold my bow." Oh, God. Hashtag Thug Isabella. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, no. But that would happen. That would happen, that Isabella would just go totally off the rails, like just fuming with anger at the sight of sight of Blossom and Isabella Blossom and Phineas getting along so well. Oh, that'd be great. Alright, so thank you for those questions. Andrew Varney, moving on now to Wes Beaver, who asks, Powerpuff Girls in No Name Club, what happens? Oh yeah, for those who don't know, the No Name Club is a fanfiction series that I'm co-plotting with fellow YouTuber on here, Alexander Anayas. As of this recording, there are 2 chapters up, and more soon to come. It's actually kind of funny, because there is going to be a chapter featuring him coming up very soon, so stay tuned for that. As for the rest of the girls, you might see him somewhere around there. Anyway, him and Tyrek, who gets stabbed in the back first? Probably Tyrek trying to betray him, and then him's like, I wrote the book on betrayal, son. Alright. MLP villains versus Powerpuff Girls villains. Which villains last longer? Well, considering that there's only literally 2 villains who have not been reformed yet, I would have to say that the villains on the Powerpuff Girls side overwhelm them. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Wes Beaver. Moving on now to Predator Warrior 18, and he asks, in the Powerpuff Girls episode where they were getting beaten by the giant orange Godzilla-like monster, and they won where Bubbles asks nicely to leave, do you think that episode was a perfect example of what happens if the girls tried to fight Godzilla himself? Yeah, that'd probably be it. It's actually a very nice episode in and of itself, of just Bubbles being durable, and yeah, it's a nice episode. I really enjoy that one. Second question, have you ever rooted for Mojo to win a couple of times, or at least escape? There's been a few times where I've wanted to at least be like, see, Mojo is a lot like, he's the predecessor to what Lord Hater would be. You think he's big and threatening, and at times he can be, but most of the time he's more of a danger to himself than anything else. The difference being with Mojo and Hater is that while Hater needs peepers to keep him focused, and even then that's a long shot, Mojo can mostly be a danger in of himself, but it's usually his own arrogance that gets the better of him. Anyway, third question. Do you think the girls are extremely overconfident with their abilities? Yeah, they've multiple times let their power and ego get the better of them. Multiple times. I mean, pick an episode and I can tell you where they think their power, they can just fly around and punch stuff and that would be the end of it. So, yeah, I think that they're very overconfident. Alright, thank you for those questions, Predator Warrior 18. Moving on now to Nolan Uno, who asks, if the Powerpuff Girls were your daughters, would you let them, what would you do with them, and how would you take care of them? I don't think I should answer that question, because I'm not even responsible with my nieces and nephews. So, no, not nieces, cousins. I don't have nieces and nephews yet. I mean, my brother's married, so that's going to be an inevitability, so I'm not even responsible for my younger cousins, let alone having kids. So, no, we're talking about superpowered children, so no. Why the hell did I say nieces and nephews? I don't have those. Second question. If you're the Powerpuff Girls' dad, how would you introduce Godzilla to them? Put in the DVD and hope it sticks? Alright. Third question. If you were going to pick a family or friends to help you take care of Powerpuff Girls, what would it be? I don't know. Because, yeah, I would not be having this family. So, I don't know. Anyway, think of those questions, Nolan. Moving on now to Jason Voorhees 2011, who asks, how would you write a crossover between Powerpuff Girls and Transformers? Seriously, IDW, get into that Powerpuff Girls TMNT if you can. And which Autobots could you see interacting with the girls in Professor Utonium? Okay, Transformers and Powerpuff Girls. How would this go down? I would have it that Megatron and the other Decepticons have come to Townsville, and now they're starting to steal Energon, because even the supervillain bases have a lot of Energon. They're secretly converting it, and they're duping. I want to they're stealing a lot of energy from Princess Morbucks, and Princess doesn't even know it. But when she figures it out, she kind of flips her shit, and yeah, she even tries to take one of the Decepticons, namely Starscream, as her hostage because she wants a giant robot just because she can. So, all of Townsville versus the Decepticons and Autobots and Powerpuff Girls. So, in terms of who I could see interacting with who, Blossom would be hanging out with, I could see Blossom hanging out with maybe, Perceptor would be with Professor Utonium. He'd be hanging out with Professor Utonium. Wheeljack and Blossom. Yeah, Blossom and Wheeljack. They could talk about science stuff. Or actually Blossom and Optimus. I think that would probably be a better one. Bumblebee and... No, not Bumblebee. Maybe not Bumblebee, but... Beachcomber. There you go. Beachcomber would probably be a better fit for Bubbles, because they both really love animals. So, Beachcomber and Bubbles. And... either Ironhide or Grimlock. Or even Brawn. Yeah, Ironhide, Brawn, or Grimlock for Buttercup. So there's the first question. Second question. Which villains from other cartoons could you see as Powerpuff Girls villains? You said Krang from original 80s cartoon. I would agree with that. I would also throw in Lord Dominator. Yeah, Lord Dominator, Master Cyclonus, Bill Cipher, and... Skeletor, Megatron, G1 Megatron, and who else would work as a Powerpuff Girls villain? Well, those are just a few. Anyway, third question: how did the girls react to the Avengers, and could Buttercup win in an arm wrestling match against the Hulk? Now, I don't know about the arm wrestling match, but I think the Avengers, they would be like, "Oh my God, actual superheroes! Oh my God, we're big fans!" I mean, they met Aquaman and Wonder Woman in that Super Friends card. Whenever there was a Super Friends Powerpuff Girls crossover that had Aquaman and Wonder Woman meet the Powerpuff Girls who saved them from the Legion of Doom. It's a great episode. There's an excellent in-joke at the end of it. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Jason. Moving on now to Omnitron12345, who asks, if the girls were 16, what teenage superhero teams do you see them being in? Teen Titans or the Runaways? Either or. Second question: have you ever, were you ever a Blossom Dexter shipper? Not really, but I can see the allure of that pairing. Honestly, I could really see the allure of that ship, because obviously they're both really smart and think they're above everyone else. So, yeah. Also, I know the Bleed Man comics were really big on that ship in his series. So that third question: if the girls had actual secret identities, not like that one episode where they tried to copy other heroes, what do you see their names and costumes being? Well, didn't they do that in Powerpuff Girls Z, where they were actually... I don't think they were sisters, they were just more like magical girls, really. But if I was to say, like, secret identities, maybe have it, like... But they would all have B names, like... maybe Patrice, Betty, and Becky. I don't know. I suck at names. Anyway, so thank you for those questions, Omnitron. Moving on now to Matt Bennett, who asks, what are some of your favorite or least favorite episodes from Powerpuff Girls? Well, Speed Demon's probably my favorite episode. Least favorite is oh god, it's such a gross episode too. I can't remember the name of it, but basically the one where the kid eats the radioactive paste with the fly in it, and I was like, don't eat the radioactive bug in the paste. You did. And from there, it was kind of a gross episode from there, and it was weird. There's some other ones, but that one's not one of my favorites, because I can't watch that episode without, especially that scene, I can't go with it, going, anyway, second question. Do you think people are too hard on the reboot? So far, I haven't seen a lot of people really hate the reboot outside of the voice cast, but I think a lot more people are coming around to it, honestly. I think there's, the cast is really, I think the voice cast is growing on them, even though I haven't watched the episodes yet, as of this recording yet. I think a lot of people are kind of growing on the idea, and yeah. And I'm really hoping this revival does well, because this could, we're getting Samurai Jack revival next year. We've got, we got this. Hopefully, maybe we can get a, who knows, we can get Ed, Edd n Eddy revival. Who knows? Anyway, thank you for those, oh wait, you got one more question, sorry. If you were to make a crossover between Powerpuff Girls and any other Cartoon Network show, what would it be and why? Steven Universe, because, yeah, it's Rebecca, because that crossover just makes sense. The Gems hanging out with the Powerpuff Girls, and, yeah, it makes too much sense not to do. There's apparently a rumor going around that there'll be a Teen Titans Go Powerpuff Girls crossover, which I'm hoping is not the case. And Rebecca Sugar is very open to the idea of doing another crossover. And I know there's talk of an amazing Gumball. Gumball is crossing over with another show at season 5. So, yeah. Maybe it's Powerpuff Girls, who knows? Anyway, so thank you for those questions. Matt Bennett, moving on now to King Nazru, who asks, who would you fuck, marry, kill? Sedusa, Femme Fatale, or Miss Keen? Marry Miss Keen. Kill Femme Fatale. That character was annoying, and the message it tried to send was, it fell flat on that character's face. And fuck Sedusa. So, second question. If you could have one Powerpuff Girl power, what would it be? Flight? Yeah, just flight. Third question. How screwed would the Powerpuff Girls be if they met the Daedric Lords? Probably very screwed. Incredibly. Absolutely. That's all I can say. Galvatrix has another question. Galvatrix asks, who do you think is the most powerful who is the most strongest Powerpuff Girl? Blossom, Bubbles, or Buttercup? I think all their strength, it's been kind of tested that their strength is all kind of equal. But yeah, I think it's kind of like they're all even in terms of strength, really. Then again, it might be Buttercup who might be the strongest, who knows. And the other question you have is, do you think a reboot is going to have any bloody fights like the original? I don't know. Well, I guess I just have to wait and see for right now. So, moving on to the next question, Justin Ford, who asks, would you like to see the Powerpuff Girls with Ben 10? Yeah, I think that'd be a cool crossover. Second question, what would Bubbles think of Astro Boy? Bubbles and Astro Boy, those two would be BFFs for life. And what would Van Kleist think from Generator X think of Mojo, and would he turn him into an Evo? He'd probably think he's too stupid to be an Evo, really. Anyway, thank you for those questions. Moving on now to George Pudilio, I hope I'm saying that name right, who asks, what do you think what do you think the professor will react to when they go on dates? He'd probably freak out and feel sorry for the boys, but at the same time be like the overprotective father. I just feel like he'd be like that. Anyway, thank you for that question. Moving on now to Bryce Diaz, who asks, which Powerpuff Girl could you see turning evil? Probably Buttercup, like, not really evil, but more like Punisher with super strength. Something like that, maybe. Alright, Powerpuff Girls versus Crystal Gems. Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl. Well, Professor and Steven watch. Who wins? I'd have to give it to the Powerpuff Girls. They're like Superman level strong sometimes. So, That'd be a tough battle, but I think the girls would win. And how do you think the girls would act if they were normal? Well, I guess normal would be just their normal personalities without the superpowers. That's all I got. Alright. Moving on now to Chasen41. Again, I hope I'm saying that name right, and I apologize if I messed it up. But he asks, what would happen if the Powerpuff Girls and him met Bill Cipher? Oh man, Bill Cipher and him encountering one another. That would be an interesting meetup between the two. Because I think they would both be trying to outwit one another throughout the entire time, while the girls are kind of caught in the middle of this chess game, if you will. So thank you for that question. Moving on now to Matt Kaiser08, who asks, how long would the Powerpuff Girls last against Godzilla's Monstrous Rogues Gallery? Probably not long. So, there you go. Second question. Powerpuff Girls Gamera crossover. How would you write it? Maybe have it that, Maybe have it that Mojo has stolen, like, an ancient idol, and the idol has awoken Jiger. Yeah, because I've used Gauss now. I'm going to go with Jiger. So yeah, it unleashes Jiger, and they team up, and the girls team up with Gamera to fight the monster. Third question: the girls meet the Sailor Scouts. Who would get along with who the most? Okay, Blossom with Sailor Mercury, Buttercup with Jupiter, and Blossom. Yeah, I already said Blossom with. Blossom with. Mercury. For Blossom, it would be. Yeah. Blossom with Mercury and Bubbles. Yeah, that's who. Why do I keep messing up the names? Blossom would be hanging out with. No, yeah, I already said Blossom. Why do I keep saying Blossom? I want to say Bubbles. Bubbles would be hanging out with Venus. Yeah, Venus. Those names are always. I'm getting tongue-tied with the names. This is wonderful. But anyway, thank you, Matt Kaiser08. Moving on now to Xavier Ford, who asks, Powerpuff Girls get into a fight with Samurai Jack. Who wins? Even though, Jack has that mystical sword, I would have to give it to the girls because it's a 3-on-1 fight, and he's fighting quintessentially 3 powerful beings. Alright. One Punch Man versus all 3 girls. Who wins? I haven't really watched One Punch Man a lot, but from what I've seen, it would probably be One Punch Man. Cannibal Shia LaBeouf versus the girls. Who wins? Girls. Anyway. Moving on now to the average kid, who asks, what would happen if Dynamo and Godzilla to fight Him's true form and Giant Mojo Jojo, and who would win in the tag team battle? Dynamo and Godzilla. Second question: what would the girls think of the characters such as El Tigre, Jenny, Jet Jaguar, Goten, Trunks, Kid Buu, Janimba, and Godzilla Jr.? Some new friends and some new enemies, probably. That would probably be how it would go. Alright. Godzilla shows up because of the fact he heard about Townsville Monster Island as well as the other monsters. He enters to fix that. How do you think it would turn for the monsters of Townsville's monsters, seeing the real king show up on their domain? They'd probably all get a collective ass-whooping. Anyway. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Anyway, moving on now to Action Fan 19, who asks, out of the 3 voice actresses that play the main girls, who do you want to meet the most? Well, I kind of already met Tara Strong. Yeah, I already met Tara Strong, and that was the one I wanted to meet. Met her once, and guys, like, she's super durable. Like, she's super adorable, and I took a quick look at her boobs. Nah, just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm very respectful of that. So, yeah, she was very nice, and she actually, I was getting a autograph for a friend of mine who was unable to come to go with me to the con, so I thought I'd get an autograph for him from it, and she said, "Oh, did you kill him?" What? Yeah, Tara Strong literally asked me if I killed a friend of mine because I came to this con alone. That was both very hilarious and very insulting, but I didn't care. So I got my wish. I got to meet Tara Strong. Second question. Do you think Mojo Jojo idolizes Gorilla Grodd? More than likely, yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually... I would love to see a team-up if they ever do a Justice League Powerpuff Girls crossover, which we're getting this new Justice League cartoon, so maybe we will get Mojo and Gorilla Grodd to team up. 3. Would you agree that one day Princess Morbucks gets so desperate to be a Powerpuff Girls that she has her dad build a particle accelerator to endow herself with unknown energies to gain superpowers? You might be onto a future episode in the show, Action Fan, honestly. Yeah, so... just to keep, you might have come on something. You might have ended up with something. There you go. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Action Fan. Moving on now to Jeremy Tyler, who asks, who would win in a fight between Janemba and him? Seems like weird, but funny to me. I would have to go with, as much as I think him is near godlike, I gotta give it to Janemba. I think Janemba could actually win that fight. Second question. This one's a bit silly. So, Mojo, Dominator, Buhan, and Metal Sonic, even though he's a robot made of alcohol beverage version of oil so he can drink, go to a bar. What is the outcome of this? The bar gets destroyed. That's all I can say. They get drunk and the bar gets destroyed. Alright. This is another version of the previous question, but they don't like each other and duke it out. Who becomes the victor? Probably... Are we talking about, like, Majin Buu? Yeah, that would probably be Buu. Anyway. Also, you're not the only one. The comment of Lord Dominator being her secret idol is being Frieza. She probably would worship, be a Frieza fangirl. Anyway. Sorry. Lost my place. Moving on now to Mikhail Tremel, who asks, Mikhail Tremel, who asks, what would the girls think of the Pink Panther? It's a panther, and it's pink! Oh my god! What hijinks would ensue if the Powerpuff Girls met Freakazoid? I think Buttercup would be completely driven insane to the point where she'd probably start smashing buildings. And what new villains would you want the Powerpuff Girls to take on? I can't really think of original villains, but I don't know, maybe a speedster? Yeah, let's go with a speedster villain. I don't think they haven't encountered one of those. But anyway, thank you for those questions, Mikhail, and I hope I said that name right. Moving on now to Travis Rendon, who asks, how would you feel about the Powerpuff Girls movie? Was it good or bad? I like it. I actually enjoyed the Powerpuff Girls movie. It's a great origin story. It's actually, if you think about it, the Powerpuff Girls movie is actually like a better done version of Man of Steel. It deals with characters with godlike powers and how they feel about the world and as they view them, while at the same time dealing with a villain who was made of a byproduct of certain circumstances, similar to how Krypton was destroyed. And for Mojo, it's like, yeah, he got the same powers the same chemicals they did, but he was given super intelligence. And there's a giant citywide destructive battle, but the girls actually go around saving people rather than focus on one big problem, being Zod, and they don't kill him at the end of the story. Yeah, I just blow your minds. Powerpuff Girls movie is a better Man of Steel. It has three godlike characters. Well, superpowered. I wouldn't say Superman's godlike, but yeah, these three beings with superpowers and how their powers affect the world. Yeah, It is literally Man of Steel done better, and it was done years before the movie premiered. Anyway. Second question. What would Bubbles and Star Butterfly think of each other, and what hijinks would they get caught up in? Oh, they would do a bunch of girly stuff like do hair and fight monsters and talk about boys and kill monsters. Yeah, probably a lot of. Oh wait, that's someone else's question. I missed yours. Whoops. I'll get to that question in a second. But yeah, second question. Do you think the Rowdy Rough Boys should be villains or anti-heroes, or why? I'm kind of okay with them being villains. I don't want them to... I've never really liked the whole Rowdy Rough Boy and Powerpuff Girls shit, because it's like, you're dating yourselves. They're clones of you. Sick. So I kind of am cool with them being the reverse Powerpuff Girls. And yeah, I think they would be... I would like to see them... I'd like to see, like, maybe get episodes all to themselves of just being complete assholes. Also, I heard this weird rumor, I don't think it's true, but apparently Johnny Knoxville's going to be the voice of one of the Rowdy Rough Boys in the new show. I don't know if that's true or not, but at the same time I'm like, that makes so much sense. Johnny Knoxville is a Rowdy Rough Boy? Yeah, I could believe that. All we need is Chris Pontius and Wee Man, and we got a complete set here. Or better yet, Chris Pontius and Steve-O. Yeah, Pontius and Steve-O as Butch and Brick. Oh, man. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's been confirmed. All it was just a rumor. But at the same time, now you're thinking, God damn it, I want that now. Anyway. So, moving right along to your next question, which is, if you were asked to create a super ability for Buttercup instead of that tongue-curling thing, what would it be? I think it would be, if I was to give her like an actual ability, unlike that whole tongue-curling thing, maybe, I'm trying to think of a really unique ability for her. Maybe magnetics? I don't know. Maybe something like to do with magnets, like magnetic abilities or something of that degree. Anyway, thank you for those questions. Travis Rendon, and moving right along to 25 Kid, who asks, are the Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack series connected? I don't think so. I mean, there's tiny little like fun references, but I don't think they're in the same universe. Second question: what would Bubbles and Star Butterfly think of each other, and what hijinks would they get caught up into? Oh, those two would be BFFs, and probably, doing each other's hair, and killing monsters, and, painting nails, and killing monsters, fighting interdimensional pirates, fun stuff. So, third question. Would it be really cool to see Powerpuff Girls and Steven Universe create a crossover, and who would be the villains? Alright, I've been asked this question a lot, so... But this one is a little different because he's asking about the villain, so I'll answer that part. If I was to do a Steven Universe, I already gave a story of like the Rogue Gems, but if I was to put a villain in there, I think I would use him, because I think I would have it that him would manipulate the crystal gems and the girls to fight each other. Because that would be that kind of dick move. But anyway, thank you for those questions, 25 Kid. Moving on now to Mike Root, who asks, what's your thoughts on Powerpuff Girls being voiced by a different voice cast? At first I wasn't hot on the idea, but the more I've heard clips and stuff like that, the more it's starting to grow on me. And also, apparently, in a new clip, it was revealed that this show is not a reboot at all. This show is actually a continuation. This is just a continuation of the show. So, yeah, and it kind of explains, because now the girls are apparently older in mind, but not in body. I guess they are. I guess those fan theories of the girls being immortal is true. So the girls it's just them grown up, so I guess that's the thing. Anyway, second question. What superhero teams from DC or Marvel would you like to see the Powerpuff Girls be a part of? Justice League, Avengers, Teen Titans, or Runaways, or even Young Avengers. Third question. Would you like to see the Gangrene Gang return? The Gangrene Gang return in the new season? Yeah, I would love to see them come back. All right, moving on, right along to next question, which is the Kane. Oh wait, those were all your questions. Thank you for those questions, Mike Root. Moving on now to the Kane Matter Show, who asks, what would happen if the girls were characters in Kingdom Hearts, and would they be summons or party members? Probably summons. I would have them as summons. That could be like, they could create like a twister around you as you fight, but they shield you from any damage and deal it out themselves. Second question: what if the girls crossed over into these different universes? Kill la Kill, Dead or Alive, Rumble Roses, Monster Musume, and Star vs. the Force of Evil. I think a lot of them would be like, when they see the other girls' costumes in the majority of the universes, they'd be like, oh my. Bubbles would be like, oh, lewd, so lewd. And Buttercup would be like, man, these girls know how to fight. And Blossom would be like, ladies, avert your eyes. Third question: how would a conversation between him and Freddy Krueger go? Would they get along or not? Probably not, and it would probably be him bitch-slapping Freddy constantly. So, anyway, thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Andre Partridge, who asks, what will happen if the Powerpuff Girls met up with Kim Possible? That would be a pretty fun crossover. It'd mostly be the girls smashing their way through stuff while Kim does all the stealth stuff. Second question: Powerpuff Girls versus Lord Dominator. What happens? Dominator, like I said earlier, would be a really cool Powerpuff Girls villain, but I think it would come out on top. The girls would eventually come out on top because it's 3-on-1. Even though Dominator's she's a powerhouse, and the girls would probably be limping away from the fight. But yeah. All right. Third question: how badly would the girls be beat up Zim if he tries to invade Townsville? Oh, Zim would be a total little green splat on the wall after the girls are done with him. So, yeah, what more can I say about that? Okay. So, next set of questions come from J Witch Dragon, who asks, what would you think of the girls being older as adults or teenagers? I think they did an episode like that once, and it didn't exactly turn out well. It wasn't one of the... but as adults or teenagers, Blossom would definitely be wrapped up in her studies. Bubbles would be like like working at a veterinary school, and Buttercup would be angsty teenager. Second question. Ever got to read Bleed Man's webcomic Powerpuff Girls D? Yeah, I have. It's actually really cool. I love how he made like this kind of big universe and made it its own. I even like his Grim his other one involving around Grim Jr. But yeah. Third question: what would you think of older, much darker Powerpuff Girls? I'm kind of cool with what it is. It's being fun, kick-ass action. So thank you for those questions, J Witch Dragon. Moving on now to Wolfman the Impaler, who asks, have you ever seen that one comic at IDW put out, that one comic art IDW put out of the girls sitting on Mojo and the artist tried to make them look sexy? Seriously, what the fuck was up with that shit, man? I know the one you're talking about. No, I know, it's weird. It's really weird. I can't explain it. Second question: Team What the Fuck, Peridot, Abridged Nappa, Strax, and Triceracop are now substituting for Miss Keen at Pokey Oaks. What hijinks ensue? Abridged Nappa would teach Peridot would teach chemistry. Abridged Nappa would be the coach. Strax would be the lunch lady, and oh god, Triceracop would be the math teacher. Why not? Right? Why not? And I can only imagine what kind of food Strax would be serving. He would be like, eat your vegetables, or I'll have to just boil you in acid. What? Oh, they're children. Still counts. Anyway. So your third question is, how would the girls react to the Justice League? Yeah, I would imagine Batman, Buttercup would think Batman's the coolest thing ever. So, Um, there would be that. We also have, everyone looking up to all the girls looking up to Wonder Woman and Power Girl. That that would be a thing, and yeah. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Wolfman the Impaler. Moving on now to Robo Kaiju 75, who asks, if you could make your own Powerpuff Girls video game, how would you do it, and what villains would you put in the game? Probably all the villains, and in terms of gameplay, probably like something equivalent to like Spider-Man 2, where you could roam around Townsville and do like mini missions, something like that maybe. I don't know. Second question: How would you write a My Life is the Teenage Robot Powerpuff Girls crossover? How would I write it? I think how I would do it is have it that maybe I'd have Kilgore. Kilgore is teaming up with Princess Morbucks to. She basically tries to mass produce Kilgore toys and take over Townsville through manipulating Kilgore's cuteness, and the girls and Jenny try to stop him. I'd love to have this joke where Buttercup and Blossom are like, "Hey, does he sound really familiar? This Kilgore guy sound really familiar to you?" Because Tara Strong voices. Never mind. Third question: favorite moment with the professor. It's kind of like the same one you put, where the professor talks to their friend Robin, and he said he made them by accident, and Robin just says right off the bat, "Don't worry, Professor, I was an accident too." He just has this look of what. Alright, thank you for those questions, Robo Kaiju. Moving on now to Matt Bennett, who asks, who will win in a fight to the fucking death, Superman or the Powerpuff Girls? I gotta give it to Superman. I think the girls are powerful, and it's a 3-on-1 fight, but yeah, it's Superman. Second question, could the Powerpuff Girls I don't want to answer that. I don't feel comfortable answering that question. No. I don't feel like answering that one. And same with the sub. That's not funny. Neither of those are funny. I don't want to answer those, so no. I'm sorry. I don't feel comfortable answering those questions. Anyway. First question. What would happen if... Okay, anyway. But thank you for that first question, Matthew Bennett. Moving on now to Shockwave Spider, who asks, what would happen if Mojo Jojo met the following characters: Doctor Doom, Dr. Octopus, Invader Zim, Gorilla Grodd, Lord Hater, and what would he think of them? He would everyone except Gorilla Grodd, he would think they're idiots, except Grodd. Second question. How would you make an Ultimate Powerpuff Girls setting series? What changes would you make, and how would you revamp each of the characters, including the girls themselves? I don't know how I would do all the characters right off the bat, but I think I would go with maybe age them up just a little bit, and maybe have it that they, Buttercup is into tattoos, and I don't know, Bubbles is a little more. I would say that Bubbles is a more pacifist, but when it comes to fighting, she's right there on it. So I don't know, if I had a little more time to think about it, maybe. Third question. Do you think the Powerpuff Girls don't have a lot of villains with superpowers in their rogues gallery? Well, I think there's plenty there, and I think that's the point where they have to, the villains have to get kind of unique on using their ability. They know they can't fight them head on, so I think that's the fun of watching them try to do these big schemes. Anyway, thank you for those questions. Shockwave Spider. Moving on now to Jackie Lee, who asks, what are the girls' thoughts on Shitama and Genos? I'm guessing that's One Punch Man and his cyborg friend. Buttercup would think that he's the One Punch Man is the coolest thing ever. Second question. What anime do you think the girls would like? Buttercup, it would be Dragon Ball Z. That's a no-brainer. Bubbles would like Lucky Star. And Blossom would like... I would have to say Ghost in the Shell. I think she would find it very... No, I think actually more so... I think Blossom would like... Blossom like? Probably something deep and cerebral. Maybe like Evangelion or something, I don't know. Third question, what are your favorite episodes? Like, I've already kind of answered this question before, but yeah, Speed Demon and a lot of him-centric episodes. But there are more, and I just can't think of the titles right now. But anyway, think of those questions, Jackie. Moving on now to Boo Rat 1, who asks, have you read any of the grown-up Powerpuff Girls fan comics? If so, which are your favorites? I haven't really read any of the grown-up Powerpuff Girls fan comics, but I know they're out there. I've never seen any episodes of Powerpuff Girls, of the Powerpuff Girls Z anime. Is it any good? I think it's alright. I think it's pretty fun. It's more of an acquired taste. You really have to be like, if you're okay with magical girl animes, then I would say go for it, or at least give it a shot. Anyway. Third question. Pitch me the perfect Powerpuff Girls Steven Universe crossover plot. You can't. I kind of already gave the plot earlier, so yeah. Anyway, but thank you for those questions, BooRat01. Moving on now to Sora vs. Ka, who asks, what would happen when the girls of Powerpuff Girls meet the main six? Fluttershy and Bubbles become BFFs, Twilight and Blossom become friends, and Buttercup and Rainbow Dash have a race. That would probably more than likely happen. Gorilla Grodd and Mojo Jojo team up. What happens? The Justice League and Powerpuff Girls make the most epic team up. I'm really liking this idea of Grodd and Jojo and Mojo teaming up. Like, the gears in my head are starting to turn of what you could do with that, of Grodd and Mojo teaming up. What incarnation of the Doctor would the Powerpuff Girls make good companions for? Maybe, I would say Doctor number 4, because the girls are still kids at heart, and so is the 4th Doctor, so yeah, maybe Tom Baker era Doctor. And finally, the next set of questions come from Joel Davis, who asks, favorite episode of I already answered that one. Powerpuff Girls crossover with MLP, what would you like to see happen? I'm going to answer this one because he's actually asking for an actual crossover. Maybe have it that, I would have it that, like, there's this void in between universes that interdimensional beings can actually interact with other creatures and meet. So him encounters Discord, and he makes like this bet that he can make that he dupes Discord into switching universes with him. So he goes into the MLP universe, and Discord goes into that universe, thinking that he can have some fun and be his old self again without harming anyone. Sadly, he's been duped into nearly killing the Powerpuff Girls, while him has free reign to do what he wants with Equestria. Third question. What would happen if the next Powerpuff Girls movie were directed by Zack Snyder? That movie would be incoherent and everything would be destroyed, and I would hate it. Here's the thing. What happened, Zack Snyder? What happened? I mean, the remake of Dawn of the Dead was amazing. Guardians of Ga'Hoole was a great movie. 300 was a fun action film. What the fuck happened? And you justify everything you did in Batman v Superman. You're okay with Batman killing people. You're okay with this movie being incoherent. You're okay with all of this. Whatever, that's a rant for another time. But no, I would not be cool with this. Anyway. So, there you go, guys. Those are all the questions for the MLP Q&A. Once again, if I did not answer someone's question, that usually means it was either marked as spam by YouTube or didn't show up on the list at all. So, once again, I do apologize for that, but yeah. Once again, hope you all enjoyed this Q&A, and I will see you guys later.